Hey guys, it's Paul Pluter, and I'm on the Paul Pluter and the Archie Luxury channel. And today, guys, I want to talk about a wristwatch I just got back. Just got back? Yes, I got my Patek Philippe annual calendar back. So let's have a quick for my wristwatch check. I'm wearing my other Patek. I'm wearing my 5296, and this regards my Patek Philippe 5035. So what is the story? How did I get this back? Well, it's a bit of a long story. It's a bit of a long story. So let's tell the tale. So basically, what can I say? What happened? Well, it's a long story. At the time, many years ago, I actually was approaching 40 and I wanted a significant wristwatch to mark the occasion. 40 it's a big milestone in a man's life. And unfortunately, I didn't have any cash saved. So what I actually did was I refinanced my car to allow me to buy a Patek Philippe annual calendar. That's correct. And I also borrowed a bit more money because my wife at the time, she might get a bit funny. So I decided to also pay for a trip to Thailand for us as a family. So, okay, there we go. That's exactly what happened. I borrowed the money to buy this Patek Philippe. And that was all great. It was all good and proper. The only thing that went wrong in this plan was about 18 months later, my wife had a serious accident in the car. Thankfully, this is my ex-wife. She was not hurt badly, besides being shook up and a bit of whiplash. She was fine. Thank you, Mr. Ugasaki Honda, for making a good car. It was a near-death experience, and I thought, geez, you know something? I want to buy a grand piano. She always wanted to learn piano. She wanted the kids to learn piano, and I thought, fuck it. I'll sell my Patek annual calendar, the 5035, and what I'll do is I'll buy a grand piano. So that's basically what I did. So I advertised the watch on my channel, and a really cool fan, he's become a friend, he bought it. He bought the said watch. So I actually, to tell you the truth, I was in such a rush to get the piano. He wired me the money. He was in Australia. He transferred the money. I immediately, the next day the money had come in, I had already taken my ex-wife, well, she was my wife at the time, and the two kids to the piano store. I'd already negotiated a deal on a baby grand Kauai, and I said to her, if you really want it, we'll get it. And that's exactly what happened. When the piano was delivered on the day that I was actually flying out to Melbourne to deliver the Patek as part of the deal. Fast forward a couple of years, and the guy with the Patek there, I'd actually sold him a number of watches. I'd sold him a day-date. I'd sold him a ladies solid gold constellation for his wife. I'd sold him a number, I think even a two-tone ladies Datejust. I'd sold him a Breitling Super Ocean. So he built a nice little, and also a two-tone black dial Submariner. Anyhow, I just rang him. He's a nice guy. He's the guy with the Lamborghini and the Mercedes-Benz SL65. I rang him and said, hey, how's it going? He said, oh, you know something? I'm thinking about actually selling the annual calendar. He goes, I said, oh, what's wrong? Why would you do that? It's a beautiful watch. He goes, yeah, I know. I could just use the money. I could put it into another hobby. He wanted to buy another vehicle. I said, oh, okay. He said to me, he wanted a certain price, and I got to tell you, it was he wanted about 20,000 Aussie for it, which is probably fair, you know, to be completely honest with you. When I sold it to him, the market has actually dipped a bit because they are a wee bit small. I kind of said, look, let me think about it. I didn't expect him to want to offload the annual calendar. And I kind of went away and I thought about it, and I spoke to a friend of mine, Cove from Sydney Watch Exchange. He said, get the Patek, get the Patek, get the Patek. And Dave said, get the Patek, get the Patek. So I texted him and said, oh, you know, it could need a service, because I just come back from, actually I was in Singapore. I got a new strap for my Calatrava, the 5296. And I'd also David booked in Cove's 5056, the Platinum annual calendar, which is very, very similar in size and proportions to this piece. And it needed, actually, the service quote came back and it was $4,500 Sing, because it needed a new dial, a bit of water damage from condensation. And I must admit, this piece here has the same fault. It's got these little pusher holes. If they the seal goes in any of those there, if you're not careful, water can get in, and it can then subsequently damage the dial, if not upset the movement. So it's just not a good thing. I said to him, look, I'm a bit worried about it. I made an offer. I said to him, look, I'll give you $18,750. I sent the text. Then about 20 minutes later, I texted him, say, fuck it, I'll take the punt. 20,000 on the knocker, you got a deal. I'll transfer a holding deposit to you very soon. And I actually proceeded to make a video to sell off some of my pieces, because I don't have the money. I proceeded to list my Zenith El Primero, which I actually did sell on the channel. I sold it to a nice guy. I got a little bit less. I took a little bit off. He came in at a low price. I got really shitty. Then I said, look, I want 4,300 US for it. This was for the Zenith El Primero Open Heart. He paid, and I transferred that money to the Patek guy as the deposit. So that was okay. The deal happened there. Then what happened was I then had to come up with the rest of the money. I basically had to find about $14,000. I actually asked my old man. I rang my dad and said, look, could you just lend me $1,000? He said, yep. And I sold my bluesy to Sydney Watch Exchange. If you look at Sydney Watch Exchange website, you'll see it listed there. I also had to cover some airfares, a few little incidentals, a bit of slippage, with the Zenith money, bills and shit like that. So anyhow, that's what happened. So then I got to tell you, the Patek itself, I flew down to Sydney, dropped off the two-tone bluesy, picked up the cash, jumped on another plane. I booked the wrong airport. I went to Avalon instead of Tullamarine. But that's okay, because this guy here, he was nice enough to pick me up. And what? Ta-da! 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 I'm now the owner of my Patek Philippe annual calendar. Look at that. It's absolutely beautiful. 37 mil. I'm just absolutely so happy to get it back. So happy to get that watch back. So it's all running beautifully. It's all nice. It's like a time warp. It's like going back in time. So he gave me the watch, which I gotta say, I was getting worried before I picked it up. I had all this anxiety. Has he lost the papers? Has he lost the pusher pin? Has the box been damaged? Has this happened? Has that happened? Is the watch damaged? I was just a mess. I was just a mess all over the shop, when in reality it's time warp. It's exactly like I sold it to him. And so I very, very nicely, I now have my annual calendar back. What did it cost me? Well, it cost me the Zenith. the Zenith El Primero, and also my two-tone bluesy. Very sad to see those go, but it's a third Patek Philippe. It's my third Patek Philippe in the collection. I got the 5296 Calatrava. I got the 5110 World Time in yellow gold, and now I've got a 5035 annual calendar. I've got a classic Calatrava annual calendar watch, and a world time piece. So very, very ecstatic to have a three-piece Patek collection. Let's have a quick look here. I'll show you. This is a bit of a time warp. So I was all worried. Sometimes, you know, you worry, and what's it like, and you think, fuck, is it damaged? So there we go. This is the outer box. Let's go and have a look what's inside here. We'll just open that up. And inside here, we have got the inner box. Well, the inner box. Okay, let's go through this one here. So, and yeah, that's how I got the box. It was a little bit damaged, the outer box, but I'd rather have a damaged box than no box at all. Okay, so that's nicely done. Beautiful. Folding flap. And then, there we go. That's the insides of this box. I've got the papers separately. We'll look at that soon. And inside here, we've got the cloth. We'll just open that up. And presto, one Patek Philippe wristwatch box. And we open it up. We can see the box. And look at this. When I sold him the watch, I presented it to him. He asked me, Archie, can you please sign the inside? So there you go. ArchieLuxury. So, look, it's how do I feel about that? I wish I hadn't signed it now, but that's cool. That's cool. It's part of the charm of the piece. It definitely is my piece there. This is how good it is. It's even got my pusher pin, which is actually a rose gold pusher pin. If any guys are out there who've got a Patek Philippe pusher pin and you want to I want a yellow gold one, I've got a rose gold one. So if anyone wants to swap, just email me. Email address is in the description, ArchieLuxury72@gmail.com. So that's basically the box. So I got to tell you, the box, absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. No problems at all. And I was worried. I thought, oh, maybe it's been damaged. Maybe, you know, I just become my own worst nightmare, thinking, oh, maybe it's this. I don't know. You know, it's kind of it's just how it is. I found it very nerve-wracking. This was a very important watch in my life. This was no ordinary annual calendar. This was my, I just want to fold that up beautifully. We'll put this back into here. It was my annual calendar. It's not anyone else's. This was my annual calendar, and I adored it. I really loved this watch. So I got to tell you, I was very relieved to be getting it back. I was really pleased. I remember I even had the sticky tape I put in the lid there. Yep, it was always a bit hard to just tee it up properly. There we go. That's beautifully done. I'll put this, whilst I'm making this video, I'll put that away just so that I know it's all beautifully sealed and put away. So that's the first box. And what else did it come with? That's a good question. It came with a few other things here, which I will show you. So the next thing is, I was worried, had he lost the papers? Has he lost the papers? And there we go. We've got a Patek Philippe. The leather. This is like the books to a Rolls fucking Royce. The books to a Rolls fucking Royce. And opened it up. And we've got everything here. Have a look. I'll show you. We have the little, this fucking little brochure tells you how to actually set the fucking annual calendar. This is sort of the most, these are fucking impossible to get, and very lucky I've got, yes, that's right, I remember I supplied that to him. So that's that instruction part. Very hard to get that. And I was worried, had he lost the certificate of origin? I'm thinking, oh fuck, has he got it? Has he lost it? Da-da-da-da, certificate of origin. There we go. Look at this. And these here, it was unsigned. When I got it, it was never had a dealer's name in it. Look at that. Beautiful. And this watch had been sold the 5th of November, 99. 5th of November, 99. So absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. And the other booklets that come with it, we had a list of authorized agents, distributors. We had the collector's library where they were selling books at the time. We had an invitation to the Patek Museum, and we also had the original piece of paper to fill out to join the archive, to get the Patek Philippe magazine. So this is all very, very cool stuff to have there. So I was over the moon. This is my Rolls Royce logbooks, so to speak. And then that's not all. We had more. We had more. When I actually sold him the watch, I also gave him this is a catalog from the 2000s. This was a catalog which was out when this would have been the sales brochure. The sales brochure for, look at that. It's got the 5035 in it. That's, you can just see where my thumb is wiggling. That's the yellow gold version. This has also got, lo and behold, the Patek Philippe World Time. So that's my yellow gold one there. It's a very cool catalog indeed. The other, just out of interest here, this here has also got in it. It also had all the movements mentioned. It mentions the movements. Just a very, very, very cool sort of catalog. It's just, this is sort of stuff. This is what you want when you have a Patek Philippe. You want all this stuff, and it's even got the annual calendar celebrated there, so hey, deciding to buy a Patek Philippe watch is not one of life's most difficult decisions. Not, that is, if you place a high value on beauty and unrivaled craftsmanship. Choosing one, however, may present rather more of a challenge. As you will see in the following pages, there is no such thing as a typical Patek Philippe. So it's just really cool how it mentions. It actually mentions a few models I've even had here. I had the 3919, that was my first Patek Philippe. It also mentions this book, the 3944, which was a quartz Calatrava I had in 2002. And it also mentions 5107, which was, so it's just such a cool book. I didn't even remember giving it to him. I got it back. So that is a cool catalog to have there. The other thing he gave me back, he's a really cool guy. I gave him an extra strap. This was the original strap, which it's in okay condition. It's in okay. Yeah, it's quite. So that's the original strap. So I gave that to him. So he gave that back to me. So I'm actually going to get an extra long strap. Yes, fuckers, I've put on a wee bit of weight since I sold it. So, yes, that's rather unfortunate. Yes, it is rather unfortunate indeed, fuckers. The other interesting thing he gave me was, when I sold it to him, he asked me for a receipt, which I did actually prepare for him. And this is what I said. The ArchieLuxury channel. This is to certify that the Patek Philippe annual calendar reference 5035 Watch in yellow gold, bearing serial number, blah, 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 blah. Reference 5035J was the personal property of ArchieLuxury, aka Paul Pluta. This watch was the subject of many ArchieLuxury videos. I purchased this watch in 2012 and sold it in April/May 2014. I certify this watch as being an ArchieLuxury heirloom wristwatch. Kind regards, Paul Pluta, ArchieLuxury, 2014. Please, and I signed it and said, please take care of this beautiful watch. I loved her so much. I loved her so much. It's like a time warp. Just looking at this letter here. Yeah, I do love material goods more than people. Of course I do. And I can just see the feeling. A young Paul Pluta, ArchieLuxury, prepared that letter. Just a time warp. I've got my wristwatch back. So very, very, very pleased indeed to have that back. Very happy to have it back. It's very emotional. It's a lot of emotional. I've been having some really weird dreams lately, and it's very emotional. You don't realize, very emotional to have this watch back. This was my 40th present. I sold it because my wife at the time had a car accident, and I wanted to get something for her, that was a waste of money because the marriage ended in divorce anyhow. So that was a huge, well, it's life, isn't it? That's how it goes. But interestingly enough, I also gave him an advertisement for the Patek 5035. And the actual advertisement itself, this is the irony. I sold my 5035 to buy a grand piano. And this here is a man teaching his son to play the grand piano. So that's, yeah, that's my Patek Philippe story. And I've got to tell you, in all honesty, I sold it for personal reasons. I really needed that money. And it's an absolute honor to get it back. I am really over the moon to get my Patek Philippe back. That was my Patek. I got all my document. I didn't even remember giving him this advertisement. It's like a time warp now that he has given it back to me. It was really, really, really cool. Really, really cool. And I got to tell you, man, it just makes me almost cry. It makes me cry because I got to tell you, what the fuck did I back into? Whoops. I got to tell you guys, it's life ain't always easy. And yeah, that was my Patek Philippe. It's like a time warp. I sold that. It's 5 years ago now. 5 years ago. Fuck. April, May. Over 5 years ago. So there you go. There you go. And I can't remember if I included a watch winder. I had this beautiful, I remember years ago, my dream was to have an orbiter watch winder. I remember buying this from Langford's in Brisbane. It was on sale. It was a big sale. It was $1,100. And I think they sold it for about $400 or $500. Still expensive, but I remember buying it because I always wanted an orbiter winder. See, people have Scalito del Tempo, you know, that very posh Italian brand. Yeah, they're very good. They made the watch winders for Patek. Yes, I know. But for me, I always wanted a wooden orbiter. They're an American company. I always wanted an orbiter. Okay, I don't know why. And he very kindly gave me it back. I can't remember if I sold it to him or included it in the... I can't remember. I can't remember what the fuck I did. But he's a very, very cool guy. He gave it back to me. So I wasn't going to argue. Yeah, I mean, this watch, getting this Patek back is really, really, really emotional journey. It really is an emotional journey for me because I love this watch. I remember when I actually wore that watch every day for a year. Every day for a year. I wore that watch from 40 to 41. And I really loved it. I really loved it. That's the winder here. I'll put it back in its box. I really, really, really loved it. And I was short of money. My wife, at the time, you know, she had a car accident, and I wanted to sort of, you know, I thought it was a nice gesture. I thought it was a nice gesture. And the kids have learnt piano. Now they're getting older. They're in their teens. If I had money now, they wouldn't take up the piano. You had to do it when they were 5, you know. 5 years ago, you know, when they were younger, much younger. So I made very good use of the money. I did make good use of the money. But I gotta tell you, my Patek Philippe, to get my annual calendar back, I don't care, it's a wee bit small, it's 37 mil. People say, oh, it's a wee bit small, it's this or that. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. That's my Patek Philippe. That's my annual calendar. And I'm so happy to have it back. And it's working very well. It's working well. I got Cove, he's a watchmaker, just to have a quick, he had a little bit of a look, gave it a once over. And he said, Archie, I would get it serviced. He said, sounds a little bit dry. He said, if I were you, get Patek to do it. He said, don't muck around, get Patek. So I'm actually going to be taking that to Patek in Singapore or Hong Kong, possibly, because I've got to pick up my world time in a couple of months. So I might actually drop this one off, but I'm very, very, very happy to have it back. And I got to tell you, I had so many weird dreams. I've had some weird dreams because this sparks so much psychological shit. See, it sparks so much psychological shit. And I remember the day after the day I got it back, at night time I got it back. I got it back at night. Oh, the day after, that's right, I was staying in Sydney. I remember thinking, Jesus, I'm depressed, just really, really depressed. And I thought, how come I'm depressed? I got 3 Patek Philippe's. I got a 5296, 5110, and a 5035. Why am I so depressed? And I think it's just all the anxiety, the stress to have my baby back is absolutely, I love it. I love my Patek. I love my Patek Philippe. I love my Patek Philippe. I really do love my Patek. And it's a great story. I got my Patek back. I needed the money at the time. Do I regret selling in the first place? Look, I bought it back a bit cheaper. I don't think I was horrible in the price. I mean, these are a little bit soft now. They're a little bit soft. You can see a good one on Chrono, 23 or 24,000 Australian dollars. I paid him 20. I probably paid him a bit high, but I didn't care. I didn't care. I wanted my Patek back. Actually, that price is low. I mean, I'll get this thing serviced. It's a 30 grand watch, really. A Patek with a complicated Patek. They're actually, I actually predict these will go through the roof, because the reason is, you look at what's driving the Rolex madness, and it's the Chinese market. They'll eventually realize there's better than Rolex. They'll want The Chinese love yellow gold, so I'm really predicting yellow gold will surge, and a 37mm classic Patek. I think these have got potential to be a $50,000 watch personally. That's you know, give it 5, 10, 15 years, they'll be a $50,000 watch. So guys, that's my Patek story, and it's very emotional. I'm starting to, it took a lot out of me to you don't realize it, but I loved this watch. I loved this watch. It's one of the possessions I really love. I mean, how much did I love this watch? I'll tell you how much I love this watch. When I had that watch, I had a, just hang on, I'll go and get this. Just hang on, guys. Have a look at this, guys. How much did I love it? I had a framed picture of my 5035 in the house. That's how much I loved my watch. I loved the gold frame. I absolutely loved my Patek. Okay, that's my Patek. So when I sold it, it went to a good home. He looked after it very nicely. I'm over the moon to get it back. It's my Patek Philippe. So guys, that's the story. Tell me what you think, guys. Remember, like, subscribe, tell your friends. I tell you what, my good friend Theo Christian at Theo and Harris, he's done a great video on getting a Patek Philippe for his grandfather. That's another fantastic Patek Philippe story. Pateks are special. They're like Rolls Royces. You may drive a host of Mercedes, but every Rolls Royce I can remember every Rolls Royce I've driven. They're special. Rolls Royces are very special, and I got to tell you, it's very cool to get that watch back. So until next time, guys, ciao, and keep watching the Archie Luxury channel.